Many mornings in year 2 and 3 of my PhD, I drove to the lab hoping I would get into an accident bad enough to have an excuse not to go in. And I never told anyone this. I was at Dartmouth. I had a research project with no funding, no preliminary data, and no established protocol. Nobody in my lab had done what I was being asked to do, and I was handed this unfunded research direction. I was told to figure it out, and so I did, alone, from scratch. But that season almost broke me, and I know I'm not the only one. If you're a STEM PhD student right now, and you feel like you are working incredibly hard, but you're not sure if you're making real progress, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Lydia Park. I'm a Dartmouth PhD in Biomedical Engineering, and I'm an NSF grant awardee and a current UVA postdoc. And I'm a Christian who believes her PhD is not just a career move, but a calling to steward. Welcome to Kingdom-Minded PhD Scientists. So let me tell you what nobody told me when I started my PhD. I came in as a top student. I knew how to study, how to memorize, how to solve problems for those that had known answers, and I thought that would be enough. But it was not. Because here's what nobody explains. Undergrad rewards you for being a knowledge consumer. You learn the material, you memorize it. You solve the problems that already other people have solved. And if you're good at that, you get A's. And then you get into a good grad school, and you think you are prepared. But a PhD does not reward knowledge consumption. A PhD requires knowledge production. You have to generate new knowledge. You have to navigate ambiguity. You have to design your own research direction. You have to figure out the question before you can figure out the answer. And nobody explicitly teaches you how to make that transition. So what happens? You work harder. You read more papers. You stay later in the lab. You do all the things that worked in undergrad, but none of them work now. And slowly, that gap between effort and progress starts eating at you. I asked PhD students recently what exhaustion feels like in their program, and the answers were heavier than just, I'm tired. Working all day and still feeling behind. Being unable to rest without guilt. Thinking about your PhD all the time. Carrying mental weight that you cannot switch off. Feeling stuck even when you are trying hard. That reel almost hit 60,000 views. Not because it's clever content, because it names something that thousands of PhD students feel every single day and nobody is talking about. This is the number one pain point. You're working extremely hard and you're not sure if you're making real progress. And the data backs this up. 50 to 70% of PhD students report a lack of clear direction as their biggest blocker. PhD completion rates hover around 50 to 60% globally. Burnout rates among grad students exceed 40 to 50%, and those numbers have only gotten worse since 2020. These are not lazy people. These are brilliant, driven, capable people stuck inside a system that trained them for the wrong game. So what's actually going on here? Here is what I have learned, both from living it and from now coaching students through it. The surface level problem is, I feel stuck. But the hidden root problem is an identity crisis that almost no one names out loud. PhD students think, I'm not smart enough. But the real issue is, I was never trained to think strategically about research production. But when you realize the gap is a skill gap and not an identity gap, everything shifts. You are not broken. You are untrained, and untrained is fixable. I ran experiments for years. Some worked, some failed, and some just existed. When I finally wrote my thesis, I realized something uncomfortable. Almost 30% of the experiments I ran never made it in. Not because they were bad, but because they just did not fit the argument. I was not building a thesis. I was simply collecting data. And that is what happens when nobody teaches you to think like a knowledge producer. You stay busy, you stay in the lab and keep producing, but you never stop to ask, what does this actually prove? Let me take you back to the beginning. When I started at Dartmouth, there was no funding for my projects, no preliminary data, no established protocol. I generated every piece of preliminary data myself before a single dollar of grant funding existed. I pitched a new idea to my PI who was initially not convinced. And then for 3 years, I became the only user of this microscope that got placed in my path. A DMD microscope purchased by another lab that was made available at the exact moment that I needed. That is clearly God's provision. You cannot plan that, right? But here's what I didn't tell you yet. Provision doesn't always come first. Before it did, I was distant in my relationship with God. In year 2 and 3 were the valley. Experiments failing for 2 years straight. Wondering if I picked the wrong fields. Driving between 3 buildings every day just to access the instruments my own lab didn't have. And slowly, that environment took my confidence. It took my sense of direction. It took my ability to believe if the calling was ever real. I almost quit. And here's the part that is hard to say out loud. I was wrestling with questions that had nothing to do with science. How does my faith fit inside a system that never talks about it? How do I steward this work as excellence when nobody around me uses that word? How do I trust God's timing and His timeline when my committee has a different timeline? In my 3rd and 4th year, I wrote a $600,000 NSF grant as the primary architect. The specific aims, the research strategy, the narrative, and it got funded. I published in 5 journals as first and second authors. 4 years of feeling behind, and then the NSF grant, the thesis defense, the postdoc offer, all came within 18 months. I landed my postdoc last October, 2 months before my thesis defense, while NIH funding was in chaos and leadership was changing everywhere. And so I learned, God's favor does not follow logic, it follows faith. But here's what I want you to hear. What got me out was not just faith. It was faith combined with structure. I had to build the frameworks that nobody handed me, the weekly output planner, a system that separated thesis critical work from everything else, a way to read literature like a detective and not a librarian, a method for turning advisor meetings from data dumps into decision points. And once I had that, everything changed. So why am I here? Why am I building this? Because nobody handed me the playbook, the strategic frameworks, the faith integration, the hidden curriculum that actually determines whether you graduate with clarity or whether you crawl across the finish line burned out. And the world is changing. Over 60% of STEM PhDs do not stay in academia. The career uncertainty is rising. The faculty job market that your advisor navigated is not the one that you are going to navigate. Students are not asking for more motivation content. They're asking for execution systems, the tools, the frameworks, the clear roadmaps, and proof of outcomes. This is exactly what kingdom-minded PhD scientist is. This platform exists because I believe there's a generation of STEM PhD students who are called to do world-class research, and they're stuck. Not because they lack talent, but because they lack a system built for the real game they're playing. And I believe that system should be rooted in faith, not as an add-on or some nice to have, but as the foundation. Because when your identity is anchored in Christ and not in your results, you stop panicking. You stop rushing. You stop carrying the PhD like everything depends on it. You show up and you do the work and you stay faithful. Your PhD is not an identity. It is your assignment. And an assignment can be hard. It can stretch you. It can expose your weaknesses, but it does not define your worth. So here's what you can expect from this channel. I'm going to share the exact frameworks, templates, and execution systems that got me through my PhD. The strategic thinking tools that turned years of confusion into a funded grant, a defended thesis, and a postdoc offer. I'm going to talk about the things nobody talks about. The identity crisis, the advisor dynamics, the spiritual warfare of walking by faith in a system that runs on performance metrics. I'm going to do it with receipts, not generic productivity advice, but with real systems, from someone who actually built them inside the fire. If you're a STEM PhD student who feels like you're working hard but not making real progress, hit the subscribe button. This channel is being built for you. If you're navigating the PhD and your faith at the same time, and you have never found a space that honors both, you found it. And if you're sitting in your car right now, wondering if the calling was ever real, let me be the first one to tell you this. It is. You're not behind. You are being planted. And what God grows slowly, He sustains forever. I will see you in the next one.